All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our quarterly EDA staff webinar. We've got a good agenda for us. A lot of what we're going to be talking about today is the closeout process and just a little bit more about navigating Grants Online. I am here, this is Bernadette Grafton, I am here as the Grants Online point of contact for EDA. So my role, if you don't know me already, is I am the liaison between EDA and Grants Online. I work closely with Lillian to make sure that any concerns that EDA has regarding Grants Online are addressed in whatever way they're able to be addressed, and also approving certain things that need my approval before the Grants Online Help Desk can take any action. And I also provide guidance and training when necessary, especially as it pertains to EDA practices for our staff. So if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. I'm happy to answer them myself or direct you to somebody who might be able to do so a little bit easier than I can. But we want to make sure that Grants Online is as easy to use as possible for everyone, for the grantor and the grantee. So we have these quarterly webinars that are curated based on topics and issues that have been coming up over the last quarter that I'm aware of. So if you're struggling with anything in particular, let me know, and that topic can be incorporated into the next webinar. So this is as useful as it can be based on feedback from staff. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Lillian to walk us through today's agenda.
Okay, well, and today's agenda, I just kind of quickly threw it over here into a document so that we can look at it real quick. So the very first agenda item is progress report due dates. The reason why that is an agenda item is because, of course, as you guys mostly know, Grants Online was developed for NOAA, by NOAA, according to NOAA business processes. And so as we rolled EDA into the system, we did the best we could to collect EDA business processes, but we still missed some. And so because of that, the way progress reports and the due dates work in Grants Online is different from at least the way part of EDA operates. My understanding, and based on some recent conversations with the Denver office, is that when EDA sets up their terms and conditions, your terms and conditions say that a progress report is due on that last day of the reporting period. So if your reporting period runs from October 1st through March 31st, and March 31st is the end of the reporting period, your terms and conditions say that your first progress report is due on that last day, due on March 31st.
Lillian, let me just type in here real quick.
Yes.
Lillian, I just want to provide some clarification. We've been doing a lot of research since that conversation, and that is not you're welcome, not the same across all EDA regions nor all programs. It is very specific to some programs and some regions. So there's no consistency, but it's important to note that in some cases there are due dates that vary from what the system will automatically implement, the way things currently
So
it's still important.
It's good to know that. Yes. It's good to know that that's not important across the board, but it's also important for our EDA users to understand that if there are rules that are not across the board on EDA, it's very difficult to try to implement them in Grants Online, because basically we try for, we do customize Grants Online for each bureau, but we don't really customize it for each region or line office within a bureau. So if there is an EDA standard, we're happy to build it into Grants Online, but it becomes difficult when there's not a standard across the bureau. So in this case, there is at least one region, and maybe more, but at least one that has the scenario that I just discussed, and that the special work condition says that the report is due on the last day of the reporting period. Grants Online, again, is built so that our reports are due 30 days after the last day of the reporting period. And so that is the way we're going to create our progress reports and put them on your grants file. The progress report placeholder is not even created until the day after the reporting period ends. And then when we create the progress report, we will put the 30-day date for the due date. Again, that's the way it's built. So if you have rules or terms and conditions that are different from that, we're going to have to figure out what we can do to accommodate it, because right now we can't accommodate it. That's one thing that our Tier 3 folks cannot fix, because what happens is when we make behind-the-scene changes, certain behind-the-scene changes on progress reports, if the progress report has not yet been accepted, the system every night will undo the changes that we make because it tries to make everything line up with its rules. And so that's just one thing I want you to please be aware of. And we're still in conversation as to what we can do to help alleviate or to help, compensate is the better word, for that difference between your special work conditions and our business rules that are built into the system. At this time, what we have recommended, and for that particular region, is that they would just need to notify their grantees to wait one additional day, wait for that next day after the reporting period, submit their reports on that day, and they'll just be one day late according to the EDA terms and conditions. And they will never be delinquent if they submit them immediately the next day. However, if they wait longer than those 30 days, then it switches from not delinquent to delinquent. We just did a class at Grants Online. I'm going to log in on the NOAA side. I will show some other scenarios from an EDA perspective. But for this one, I'm just going to log in as one of the student accounts that we did in our training class yesterday and look at a grants file that we developed yesterday. Just to make sure that we get a visual of what I was just describing. All right, so I'll go over here to awards. I'm going to search reports. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this feature, but there is another way to search for progress reports other than going grant file by grant file. I'm going to put part of an award number. I'm going to put NA20GOT. That's the office that we use for our training class. I'm going to say I want progress reports, and I want everything that is delinquent and non-delinquent. So everything that has a placeholder that has not yet been submitted into the agency, and search. So this would give me everything for all recipients that I have access to. Okay? So this is a feature you may not have known about. Let me just move this around so I can have I'll move this over. I want to move this over here. Sorry guys, I'm trying to move the GoToMeeting controls. I thought it's the way I can move it over to let me do this. I want to move it over to the top. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. Move this over here. All right, so I wanted my right-hand scroll bar. If you see over here, you will see a whole bunch of different awards, but all of the progress reports on all of these awards that have not yet been submitted to the agency. So in this case, these are a whole bunch of delinquent ones, and that's just delinquent based on how we set up those awards. From this point, I can click on any one of those awards and start filling it out and turning it into to the agency. What I want to do, though, let me just show you. I'm just going to click on this one. I'm going to navigate down here to my grants file. And let's take a look at this grants file. This grants file has 2 progress reports on it. One has been submitted and one is delinquent. But I just want to make sure, again, show you these reporting period dates. So this reporting period ended March 31st. The due date is 4/30, and that's how Grants Online is developed. The due date will always be 30 days after the reporting period end date. Okay? Are there any questions when it comes to that? Okay, do you see any, Yvette? No questions? All right, we have a quick poll. So what we decided to do is create a poll with some questions and see if you guys can give us a response back. Where's my little thing here? So I'm going to run my first poll right here. And let's see if you can, did I launch it? Okay, so you should now see a question on the screen and some radio buttons where you can provide us some answers. Do you see it? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we'd like for you guys to respond to the poll, and I'll give you about 30 more seconds or so, and then we'll go ahead and close it. Looks like everybody was paying attention. We got a whole bunch of right answers coming in. Okay, so I am going to, where's my timing? I wasn't watching. Oh yeah, here it is, 50 seconds, okay. Almost a minute, I'm gonna hold it open for a minute, and then I'm gonna close the poll. And we have right answers across the board. I'm gonna close it now. And we have, did I close it? Mm-hmm. Okay. This was sort of a trick question, and we have 3 different answers. 91% of you said 30 days after the end of the reporting period, which is what I explained. That's how it is. That is how it is programmed in Grants Online. There is actually a caveat to that, and a few people, maybe 1 or 2, used the very last radio button. They said 90 days after the end of the reporting period. That is actually correct for the final progress report. So if you selected 90 days after the end of the reporting period, that is correct for the final, only for the final progress report. For interim progress reports, they're due 30 days after the end of the reporting period. We did have 1 response that said the same day as the end of the reporting period. Well, according to EDA terms and conditions, that is the correct response. However, that is not how Grants Online works. So in Grants Online, the progress reports are not due the same day as the end of the reporting period. All right, thank you guys, very good. Let's go ahead and look at our agenda. Where is it? Right here. And let's see what's, okay, so next on the agenda is the closeout process. Let's talk about that. Closeout notices, how they work in Grants Online. The closeout process, as we know, begins after the award expires. We just discussed that the final progress report is due 90 days after the award expires. When the award does expire, the recipients are going to be getting their notices about when their reports are due. For the notices for the final reports, it will tell them 90 days after that the reports are due in 90 days. Not only the progress report, but their financial, their SF425 will also be due in 90 days. So they will get those notices based on the same schedule that they get their other notices. So let's take a look at the notice schedule. I'm going to go back over to Grants Online's training site. Let me just I want to move this. I'm going to go to my training site. I'm going to go to Federal Program Office Training Resources. And just as an FYI, guys, we are in the process of finalizing the development of a brand new training website. So we should have time for me to give you a quick glance at it before we finish up the webinar today. But right now, I'm looking for our notification schedule. Here it is right here, number 21. And let me make it a little bit bigger for you. Whoops, that's the wrong way, okay. So this chart is available from our training page, and it lets you know when we send out notifications to our grant recipients. Our progress report notifications go out twice. The advanced notifications go out twice before it is due. The first one is about 45 calendar days in advance, which means that's about a month and a half, about 6 weeks before the progress report is due, is their first advance notice letting them know that it is coming up, okay? And I'm sorry, I just said that wrong. It's not 45 days before it is due. It is 45 days before the end of the reporting period. So that first one is about 6 weeks in advance. The next one is about 2 weeks out. So about 2 weeks before the reporting period ends, they're going to get another notice telling that there's a progress report coming up, and please be prepared to get ready to do it. That includes the final progress report. So we're going to get those advance notices also for the final progress report, just like for the final and for the interim progress reports. Then, right the day after the report, the reporting period ends, they're going to get another, actually about 2 days after the reporting period ends, they're going to get another notice from Grants Online. It's going to say your progress report is due. All right, at this point, we have a placeholder in the system, but it is marked as not delinquent. And we're just letting them know the placeholder is out there. You can now go over there and submit your final progress report. If they haven't done it, within those 90 days, about a week, just a little bit more than a week before the end of those 90 days, they're going to get another reminder. So they get 2 advance notices and 2 reminders during the closeout period that they need to submit their progress report. After, yes.
There's one question.
Question, yes.
There is a problem in Grants Online with grants that have announced to be de-obligated. The financial clearance is missing.
I need a little bit more explanation on that. Bernadette, can you help me out with that? Did you hear that question? You may understand what is being asked.
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I would also need more information. It just may be a matter of terminology and how we're defining things. So I'd say send an email to me, bgrafton1@eda.gov, and let's follow up on that question.
Yeah, okay, so we'll follow up on it for you guys. Thank you, and please do continue to send your questions in, especially if you type them in on the chat. That's helpful to us because we do capture everything that's typed in on the chat bar. So we'll get it and we will follow up for you if we're not able to answer during the webinar session. I do want to emphasize for the financial reports, we were just talking about progress reports, but the recipients actually get the same notifications for their financial reports on the same schedule. Those 6 weeks out, 2 weeks out, about 2 or 3 days into the report due period, and then again 8 days before the due date expires. Let's see, anything else on the closeout notifications, Bernadette, that I need to cover?
Nope, I don't think there's anything else on the notifications part.
Okay, so let's keep going on closeouts. All right, extensions to closeout versus no-cost extension. I do understand that there may be some confusion there because prior to coming into Grants Online, my understanding was that if EDA needed to extend the amount of time that a recipient had to submit their final reports, the way that was done was to actually do a no-cost extension on the award itself. And by virtue of the fact of extending the award, the closeout period was extended. In Grants Online, we don't do it that way. There's a feature in Grants Online called an extension to the closeout. So if the award is already expired, we're in that 90-day closeout period, and the recipient needs more time to submit their final progress or financial reports, they can submit an extension to closeout request. That does not change the expiration date on the award itself. So the award project end date remains the same. The only thing that the extension to closeout does is it gives them more than the original 90 days to submit their progress or financial reports. And so an extension to closeout is a type of an award action request, but it's only submitted after the project expires. Okay? Now, if you try to do a no-cost extension versus an extension to closeout, what that does on the award, first of all, Grants Online will not allow a no-cost extension to be done if the award has expired without intervention from the Grants Online Help Desk. So we would actually have to work with the federal program officer to be able to do a no-cost extension. If you really, really need the project period to change, the Grants Online Help Desk can work with you to do that, but it's not something that can be done just by the project officer if the award has already expired. What else can I say about extensions to closeout?
I have a couple of things I'd like to add.
Okay, go ahead, Bernadette.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, let me go to the, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know that there have been some issues with completing an extension to close out where you're trying to do it maybe a week before the end of the initial closeout, the 90-day closeout period, and there's technical issues. There ends up being system reporting issues, all of that. I know that happens sometimes. I'm not sure why, but I would encourage you, if you know that your grantee is running a little bit behind in getting all of their closeout documentation in, or they need more time to submit their final reimbursement request, I would encourage you to get that done as quickly as possible, to do the extension of closeout as quickly as possible within that initial closeout period. It really doesn't take that long to do, but you want to give yourself a lot of leeway to avoid any technical issues and further headache. So this is just where it's important that you're communicating to your grantee what their options are during the closeout period, so that they also know if they need more time, they need to request it more than 2 days before the end of the closeout period.
Yes.
I know
because
that
I believe there is.
happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking at our write-up for the extension to closeout, and we don't have it in here. However, there actually may be a technical cutoff when you can submit it, and that might be some of those technical issues. I believe it may need to be done at least 10 days before that 90-day period ends.
Yeah.
So we need to test that to be sure. We don't have it in here, but that's something that we'll make note of to test. And if that is the case, we'll have to add it to our guidance. So you're correct, okay, Bernadette. If someone is trying to submit an extension to closeout within those last 10 days, I believe you will run into some technical issues.
Okay, great.
Okay. Also, another thing I do want to point out, let me make this screen a little bit bigger. The extension to closeout, this is what it looks like when in Grants Online, the extension to closeout request. So as you see, the extension to closeout has 3 options: 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. Those are the increments that you can use for requesting the extension to closeout. I don't know, Bernadette, I don't know if there's any commerce policy about, NOAA seems to think that there's some kind of a policy as to how many days that they can request the extension to closeout. I don't know that there is any in the grants manual. I haven't looked at it that closely. So as far as EDA is concerned, you guys, go ahead.
I just looked into this issue actually because I had a question about that just this week. In fact, there is no strong policy. For example, if you give your grantee the 90-day extension to extension to closeout, and after that additional 90 days, so we're now up to 180 days, they still need more time. There's nothing that precludes you from giving them more time, whether that be 30, 60, or 90 more days, but only if you have the special approval of the grants officer, and that is in our grants manual, EDA's grants manual. So you have to get you have to get approval. It's not a Grants Online approval or anything like that, I don't think, but for example, I am requesting that the grantee submit a letter with that specific request of why they need that additional time, and what exactly they're going to be doing with that additional time, and the grants officer needs to make that final decision. Whereas with a normal extension, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Okay.
So you're saying that the first extension, the first 90 days past the original 90 days, is okay. They don't have to go too deep into the justification. But you're saying that if they need a second extension to close out, does it matter how long it is, 30, 60, or 90 days?
It's really just a decision that needs to be made by the grants officer at that point. We don't have EDA-wide policy.
Gotcha. But the extension to close out, I believe, has to go through the grants officer anyway in terms of the workflow.
Yes, we're just requesting additional documentation.
Attached to it or prior to them even submitting the extension to close out?
Just
yes to the prior?
To the request.
Attached, okay. So if they do that second extension to close out, you need additional documentation attached to this award action request for the grants officer to make a decision as to whether to approve it.
Yeah, just because it just extends the time for closeout, and we need to close out an award within a specific amount of time. So it's a matter of covering our own, managing our own risk.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, got you.
This would be rare. This would be a rare circumstance.
Okay, got you. Is there anything else that we should point out that you can think of? Okay, so again, I do want to emphasize, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that I know that EDA didn't do extensions to close out prior to being in Grants Online, and I sent out some guidance a couple of years ago once we decided that this is a process that we are allowed to pursue. And I just wanted to reiterate that again. No cost time extensions are to extend the period of performance. So that is when an organization needs more time to complete their scope of work. And the no cost time extension must be done before the end of the period of performance. Again, you need to do that more than a couple of days before the end of the period of performance, just to make sure that everything is approved in a timely manner.
Right, and I believe that we have the same issue if you try to wait till the last minute on the I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make that big. On the regular no cost extension. Let me go to the top here. Here's the no cost extension. We don't want prior approval waived. We want prior approval required. Yeah, so that's prior approval waived. So prior approval required. Here's prior approval. So I don't know how many research awards EDA does.
No, very few.
Just beware that very few. So so that prior approval waived is not really applicable to EDA. It's only applicable to research awards. 99% of your awards are going to, if you need to extend the scope, the project period, so that they can complete the scope of their project, then this is what they're going to be submitting. And look at this. This needs to be submitted 30 days or more prior to the award end date. So if you're trying to submit these actions within these, after these times, you're going to have some technical issues. So please look at the award action request guidance document and be aware of those time periods that you need to target and your recipients basically need to target if they think that they're going to need more time. They should know when they're getting to that last month, just before that last month of the project, whether they're going to need more time to complete their scope so that they can get this no-cost extension request in before that last month.
Question?
Yeah, question?
Is the grantee allowed to conduct any further work approved during the extension to closeout period, or is the extended closeout exclusively for the purpose of the closeout task required?
That is the answer to that. That's a good question, and hopefully everyone heard, but I will just repeat just to make sure. The question was, is the grantee allowed to do any work during the extension to closeout? Any work on the project? The answer is no. The extension to closeout is only for the purpose of completing their final reports, doing their final invoicing. They're supposed to be doing closeout activities. No work on the project itself should be done after the award period expires. So the extension to closeout, not this one here, but the extension to closeout is only for the purpose of giving them more time to complete their closeout activities, such as their final progress report, their final financial report, drawing their final funds down so that they can, pay their final invoices. So that was a very good question. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Let's see. Let's go back to our, that's the wrong one. Here. Issues that can prevent a clean closeout process. This is what I was trying to get an award set up so that we can actually demonstrate this. I hadn't quite got it to that point where we could do the closeout. So let me just discuss it. There may actually be an award that might be in that spot that I can see if I can find. But there are 3 items on here. The first one is open award action request. So if you, and the real one that we see most of the time is the ASAP drawdown request. If your recipient needs to submit their ASAP drawdown request and you're trying to do a closeout, just so you know, an ASAP drawdown request is available during the closeout period because we know there may be a final amount of money that needs to be drawn down in order to complete their closeout activities. So in most cases, they should have an option to submit an ASAP drawdown request so that they can get their money. We have had some tickets recently where the recipient is saying, I cannot find my ASAP drawdown request. I don't have access to do that. When we looked at the grants file, there were already 2 or 3, in one case, 3 ASAP drawdown requests that had already been submitted that were in the pipeline and had not yet been, had completed the workflow. In that case, they will not be allowed to initiate another one during the closeout period. So if they submit an ASAP drawdown request, or really most open award action requests, but specifically an ASAP drawdown request, if they have already submitted some, and they have not, those that they submitted already have not completed the workflow, then they're not going to be able to submit another one during that closeout period. Not only that, those open award action requests may prevent you guys, the federal project officers, from moving forward and doing your part of the closeout. So when you're ready to start your part, to start the financial closeout and deobligate the funds, if there are some open award action requests, and specifically, I want to really emphasize this, the ASAP drawdown request that's going to cause the most problems, because if that's part of the way through the workflow, say it came in and you accepted and it is sitting now with NOAA Finance, but they haven't completed their part, then that's going to cause some issues in you being able to complete your financial closeout, because that needs to come, all of those need to come to a clean end. You have to make sure that all of the funds have been drawn down that they want to draw down before you start your financial closeout. So please, please bear that one in mind. If you're trying to, another thing that will prevent you or at least hamper you from trying to move forward with the closeout process is if you do not have your progress or your final reports submitted. That final progress report, the final financial report, FY2020, if they have not yet been submitted, even if it's after the award period end date, and you want to move forward and close out the award, this Grants Online will not allow you to easily. It will actually allow you to move forward with unsubmitted reports, but it's going to force you to use a different option. Let me see if I can find the manual for that to explain to you. I'm going to go over to the grants management, because when you're doing closeout, you are wearing your grants specialist part of your project officer hat. Here's the grants management. Here it is, award closeout processing. So we do actually have a manual. I do want you to be aware of that for doing the closeout processing. And I want you to see this in the table of contents, these override options. It's my understanding these override options are not to be used unless it's a very, very extenuating circumstance. But the override options do allow you to move forward with financial or administrative closeouts, even if you're missing progress or financial reports. Again, I know that Department of Commerce policy is to not move forward with closeout until you get those final reports. So it will need to be an extenuating circumstance if you use the override options, but it is available. I know NOAA has had a few instances when we've had some renegade grantees that have kind of dropped the ball and become unresponsive, and we've had to go after those grantees with some enforcement actions. In the meantime, we've had open awards that we had to close out, and so in the way they closed them out is they had to use the override option to move forward. But again, those are extenuating circumstances, so please bear that in mind, that the override options are available, but only in extenuating circumstances. Let me see what else. Bernadette, anything you want to add on the issues that prevent the closeout?
I can't think of anything else, but I would be interested in hearing if there's anyone on the line who has other issues that they've noticed during closeout. So if people have any of those, please put them in the chat box, because this is a good time to get those questions addressed. But that was all.
Anything? Can you see, Bernadette, the answers? I think you probably can't see the questions, can you? Are there any coming in, Yvette? No questions right now, Bernadette. Okay. Yeah, we don't have any questions at this point.
And I also checked the chat section. There's nothing.
Okay, nothing. Okay. Well, let me move forward to talking a little bit about the financial closeout process and the administrative closeout processes. There are two processes to form the complete closeout process in Grants Online. Let me go back to our manual here. So as we see here is the financial closeout and the administrative closeout. We'll go down through this manual a little bit and use, let me just see. Here's our workflow for closeout. And I'm going to actually bring up, where's the other process map? Is this one? No. Let me go over here. Where am I? Grants Online right here. I'm going to log off, and then I'm going to click on my training session. And let's look at our process map. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. GMD. All right, the last one here is our closeout. Should be the closeout one. Is that it? Closeout workflow, GMD4. Here we go. GMD4. So here's our process map for the closeout process. It starts by the grantee submitting their final progress report and their final financial report. Those have to be submitted into our agency, and we need to accept them in order to start a clean closeout process. So if we try to start a closeout process before that point, before these have been submitted and accepted, the system is not even going to allow you to do that. You would have to initiate that override option, which, let's see, here. We talked about that in the closeout, the override option. Okay? Back to the process map. Once both of the reports have come in, both the progress report and financial report, and those are the reports that Grants Online enforce. I'm sure that EDA, from my understanding, you guys have a few other reports that you want them to submit before you complete your, begin your closeout process. Grants Online is not going to enforce the submission of those others because they are unique to EDA. The other bureaus don't require those additional those additional documents. So please just bear that in mind. The only thing that Grants Online is looking for to start the closeout process for you guys is the final progress report and the final financial report. Okay, so once those have come in, you as a project officer, you will have on your grants file options to initiate the financial closeout document and to initiate the manual and the administrative closeout. Oh, don't look at this one. This was for a real unique NOAA award that actually doesn't have any money on the award. So I know that sounds like a oxymoron concept. Why are you going to have an award with no money on it? But we have special awards that have in-kind type of value to it, but we don't have any federal dollars on it. So you guys are going to be looking at these two rows on the process map here, the financial closeout and the administrative closeout. The financial closeout is basically the workflow that has to go through the finance office to de-obligate any remaining balance on the award if the recipient is not going to draw the rest of it down. And that process will include let me see if I can show you on the manual. There is, let's go to the financial closeout. Okay, I want to show you the de-obligation memo. Here it is right here. Let me blow this up a little bit for you. Okay. All right. Now this particular de-obligation memo was done against a NOAA award. Because NOAA awards are interfaced with CBS, the NOAA awards will have an accounting code right here on this part of the de-obligation memo. Non-interface awards, including EDA, will not have any accounting codes because the way we pick those up is through the interface. So you will not have, you will never see an accounting code on your de-obligation memo because we don't have a way of picking them up. So please note that it's just going to, also right here, this amount of money right here is always going to be 0 for EDA because we're not able to pick it up through the interface for your bureau. So don't be alarmed when you see 0 on the total de-obligation amount from CBS and when you do not see an accounting line. That's just the way it works for our non-interfaced awards. Okay? Then, further down, there's going to be this little drop-down box that has different pre-programmed templates with language for your de-obligation justification. You do not have to use any of those templates. You can type directly into this blue box what you want to say in terms of your memo for the finance office regarding the de-obligation for this particular award. If indeed there are remaining funds that need to be de-obligated, you need to check this box right here. The checking of this box, let's go back to our workflow so that you can see how that affects the workflow. When you check that box, the system gives the finance office a preliminary check of your de-obligation memo before it goes through the final workflow to do the de-obligation. So the checking of that box forces the de-obligation memo into this part of the workflow, steps 13 and 14, where it goes to the finance office for them to get a review. After they've reviewed it, it will then go to your director to give an approval, and this is customized for EDA. Once the director approves it, it just goes into the rest of the workflow, which is a grants officer approval, and then on to the steps to deauthorize and to de-obligate the funds. If there is no balance on the award, all the funds have been drawn down, you do not need to check this box right here. If all the funds have been drawn down, the system will skip. If you do not check the box, the system will skip this white box here, it'll go directly to your director for approval, then to the grants officer. It's going to skip all of this because there's no money to deobligate, and it will stamp it with the financial closeout. Okay, so are there any questions on the closeout process? Do you see any, Yvette? Bernadette, any questions or any input you would like to add?
I can't think of anything. I think it's just most important to reiterate that you have to look at that checkbox and know that that the systems aren't integrated, so it's not, you're not going to see the correct amount of money showing up on that deobligation or closeout memo.
Correct.
And so it's just important to recognize that when you're doing this, and to check that box if there are funds that need to be deobligated, and that the financial closeout needs to be done before the administrative closeout, which is why we're going in the order we're going.
Correct. Right, so that is the next point that really needs to be made. You can actually initiate the administrative closeout before the financial closeout is completed. However, the system will not allow you the grants officer to do this final step of closing out the grant award until the financial closeout has completed its workflow. Okay? So the financial closeout has to be completed first before the administrative. And the administrative closeout is simply a check box, a box of items to check. Let's take a look at what they are right now. Let me see. Let's go up to the table of contents. And let's go down to the administrative closeout. And I did want to show you in Grants Online, this is where it's initiated. In this case, the financial closeout is already done. Let me just go up a little bit further for the financial closeout. And here are the options you're going to see when you're ready to do the financial closeout. So at this point, you see both the financial and we call it a manual closeout. That was just the language that was used when Grants Online was first built. Now we tend to call it an administrative closeout. But if you ever hear us talking about the manual closeout or in this drop down when you see that, that is the same thing as the administrative closeout process. Okay? And again, let's go down here. Here's our checklist. So it's a lot of questions here for the administrative closeout, and basically there's a yes, no, and NA for each question that is on the checklist. There is ability to add attachments after you click save, just like the other parts of Grants Online, and then save and start workflow. Once you hit the save and start workflow, it's going to move forward to the grants officer. So we do not have built on the administrative closeout, we don't have the director built into the workflow, which I know is in, I don't know, Bernadette, is that needed for the administrative closeout? Because I know the director looked at a lot of things for EDA, but I do want to point out that the director is not built into the administrative closeout process in Grants Online.
It might vary by program, but I haven't had any issues with doing any closeouts. And
okay,
if it skips director, that's
all right.
I just follow the workflow. Grants Online, I have not had any problems myself.
Okay, good. That sounds great. Let me go back to our list of items. Okay, let's go ahead. I think I have another poll question. So let's pull that up and let's see. Let's do this one first. Launch. Okay, this is what we talked about a little bit earlier. This has to do with the no-cost extension versus extension to closeout. Probably should have launched this a little bit earlier.
Okay.
Okay, we're at 45 seconds now. Let it go 15 more seconds and then we'll close this poll. All right, that's a minute. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll here. And we got mostly correct responses. The correct response to this question is the second radio button that says that the no-cost extension extends the period of performance. Okay? It does not create an amendment. The extension to closeout does not create an amendment. We did have a couple responses on that, but the extension to closeout only extends the closeout period, but it does not create an amendment, and that is because we don't in Grants Online create amendments after the award has after the award project end date has passed. We don't create amendments in Grants Online. So an extension to closeout will never create an amendment. Okay, and also, let's see, what was the first radio button? I can't even see the whole thing. So I'm not going to go. I can't see the whole poll. I can't do it. So, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I can do that. Let me just pop this out here and make it bigger. Let's see. Can I see that in this box? Yeah. This is very. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Now I can see the whole response. NCE, which is no-cost extension. The first one extends time for grantee to complete closeout activity. That's a no-cost extension, so the grantee is not doing closeout activity yet. They're still completing the scope of their project, so that would not be the correct answer. The correct answer in here is the second one down. The NCE, no-cost extension, extends the period of performance on the grant award. All right. I think we got one more poll that's relevant to what we already discussed, so let me close this out. I think we closed that. Let's do this one right here. Okay. Financial closeout process. Which of the following statements is true? Okay. We'll give you about a minute on this one. We got about 40 seconds left. About 10 seconds left. All right, we got a minute. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And let me look at this. So there actually was a couple of right answers on this one. And we do have some people that got each of them. The financial closeout cannot be started with open ASAP drawdown action. now. It should not be started. Technically, it may be able to be started. So that's why it was sort of a trick question. We have emphasized that we don't want to start it. We want to make sure that all of those open ASAP drawdown requests are clear before you start that. Technically, it may be able to, and this is one of the things, I'm sorry I did not finish my setup work because I wanted to show it. And since we actually have time, a little bit of time, we may be able to do that. I might try to go ahead and complete the scenario I was setting up to see if we can do that technically. The last one on here, the checkbox on the deobligation. Yes, go ahead, Bernadette.
Lillian, I was just going to say, I don't know if others are having the same problem, but the audio is really choppy. So I'm having a hard time hearing you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the phone. Is that any better? The audio, is that better? We're using our phone to the computer.
Kind of sounds like you're underwater.
IP. Okay, hold on. Let me switch my audio. I'm going to switch to, let me see if I can switch it to my computer. Okay, mute yours, and can you hear me now?
That's so much better. Yeah.
Is it better? Okay. All right. So I'm going to hang up the phone. How do I hang it? Is it hung up? Mm-hmm. That looks like it. It must be hung up because it's not, there's no phone number in it. So I'm going to assume that the phone is, okay, I'm glad that's better. All right. So let's see. You guys, you're not getting any feedback, are you, Bernadette?
Nope.
Okay, good. All right. So what we're going to do, since we have a little bit of time, I'm going to finish up what we have on the agenda, but I am going to go back and try to work through this scenario, see if we can actually close out a grant and check on technically if the first radio button is true in Grants Online. We know policy-wise we do not want to do this. We want to close all of our ASAP, make sure all of our ASAP drawdown requests have come through and been processed through before you start the closeout process. But I want to check technically what Grants Online allows. So we're going to try to do that, okay? Let's go back to our agenda. And, okay, so tracking the workflow history and task location.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's go through that and look at the different places where you can see workflow history. Are there any specific scenarios that you want me to look at, or just go through a grants file and look at where you can find workflow history?
Mostly just where you can find workflow history. I think that covers really everything, because I know there have been many situations where people don't know where something is, whether it's with a grantee or with them or with a different person or a director. So let's go through that.
Sounds good. Okay, so I could do one of two things. I can, let me kind of drop this back over here. There we go. I can go into our training system and look at some training ones, but if there are any in production, we can go and actually look at some production awards. If anybody has an award number that they want me to actually look at. Do you have a preference?
I can give you one of my award numbers.
Okay. All right. So let me do this. I'm going to switch over to production here. I'm going to log in as myself since I do have access to it. All right, so we are in production, and I am going to look up one of your awards, Bernadette.
All right, ED16 HDQ 303 0042.
All right, so let's take a look at this award, and this will be our sample award to look at workflow history. Let's just talk about the grants file. This is a good one. This one is expired. I might be able to use this one in training and go through. When did it expire? It just expired.
I'm working on my second extension to close out on this one, actually, because there was a technical issue, which is the only reason I do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might be able to go over the training and use this one too. So we'll try that. But let's just look at production. This particular award on the grants file has 2 amendments. Amendments, of course, are done during the life of the award. So the amendments are done before the project end date. Let's take a look at all of these award action requests. A lot of ASAP drawdown requests. We have 2 extension of closeouts. One is still waiting for the grants officer to approve. That was just done today. Okay.
While we were on this webinar.
Yes, okay. Now, I also see something that's going to cause some issues on this particular, for your closeout. You see this very bottom line?
Yep.
This organization profile change request. It looks like, let's see, is this organization, it's already set up in ASAP as ASAP yes. We probably, the tier 3 needs to close this in the background for you. It's with the recipient. Yeah. Maybe they can withdraw this request, but this should be brought to a clean close.
Okay.
This looks like they tried to use Grants Online to enroll, to go through the ASAP process. And you see how far back this happened a couple of years ago. So this is, looks like this happened towards the beginning of the award or middle of the award.
It started in 2017, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this one, just be mindful.
And I know that because of the workflow history.
Ah, cool. So let's take a look at it. Let's look at this. And let's look at the workflow history. I'm going to actually print it because you get a clearer picture in this particular case of the workflow history. All right. So this is indeed an ASAP enrollment request. And let's look at the workflow history. Workflow history always starts from the bottom and goes up. The bottom is the oldest action, and then the one at the top is the most recent action. So it started, as Bernadette said, in 2017. And it was returned and forwarded to the agency and returned, and it went back and forth. It's now back with the recipient. And obviously, look at this message right here. Your organization is already rolled into ASAP with EDA. So they did not need to submit this particular action, okay? But at the beginning, organization did not complete. So something happened between this initial action right here when Roberta returned it back in 3/8/17. The organization was not completely enrolled with the Treasury. It was rejected. And then later on, they sent something back to us. And at that point, she says the application is already enrolled into ASAP with EDA. I can't tell you what happened in that interim. I do know that we were doing a lot of manual stuff behind the scenes between NOAA Finance and Grants Online Tier 3 to get your organization set up at ASAP during that time. So something happened. They actually did get an ASAP, but it was not done in conjunction with this workflow here. So by the time we got it back over to NOAA Finance, they were already set up an ASAP. This workflow was no longer needed. Okay, so she sent it on back to the recipient, and then they just ignored it. It's been sitting there. So this is something that Bernadette, see if they have a withdraw option.
That
If they
person
don't
is
have
no longer with their organization.
oh, wow. Okay.
That's why they ignored it.
I see. Okay, that will also explain something like that. Do we need to reassign the task to somebody else to withdraw, or would you want the help desk to get in and withdraw it?
We can reassign it to
Either.
somebody else if we can do that.
Okay, so can you send in a help desk request for us to do that? We can do the reassignment for you, and then somebody else can withdraw it.
Okay.
Now, there is a caveat to that because the award is expired. But we have an extension closeout, so they should have access to it. Just know that during the closeout, during the 90-day period, the grantees are limited as to what they can do. They can submit their final reports. They can do that ASAP drawdown request. I am not sure if they will have access to do anything on that particular action. So let them check. Let's check and see. But just send us a help desk request, Bernadette, so that we can get that cleared for you before you finish your financial closeout. I mean, your closeout process. All right, so let's keep looking at this. For any award file, and I'm going to look at award file 0. For any award file, there are potentially multiple subdocuments, each with its own workflow. Now you can get a sort of at a glance a status of each of them by looking here over here at the status, and it tells you, certain things were completed, and in this case it tells you that the award is expired for the CD 450, procurement request was approved. But in order to see the entire workflow for everything for this award file, the best thing to do is to click on workflow history and then scroll down to the bottom and click print award file history. This pulls together all of the workflow for all of the subdocuments attached to this award file. It starts from the time the application came in with the minimum requirements checklist. And as you're scrolling through the workflow, you can see in the second column which subdocument the workflow is pertaining to. So we have application workflow, our NEPA workflow, PO checklist, our procurement request. Whenever you see CD 435, that's the procurement request. That's the old Commerce number that was on our procurement request when we did it in paper. We have some award files, and then finally the award itself. So this particular report pulls together all of the workflow for anything that happened associated with this award file. It gives you a complete picture on there. If there are any comments in the workflow, they'll show up like this in a little line right below the line that is associated with. So it looks like there were not too many comments on this workflow. Here's one. This NEPA has a comment on it right here. Okay, anything else to talk about on this particular report, Bernadette?
Nope.
Okay, let's go back to our grants file. Again, each of our subdocuments will have its own workflow. So if you click on PO checklist, the status will tell you the currently where it is and which role the person who has it. But if you want to know the actual person, you can only tell the role from here. If you want to tell the actual person, you do want to look in the workflow history and look underneath performer. That will give the person's name that completed a particular task. Also, user comments in the workflow history will always show up in the far right of the workflow history. Back on the grants file, again, let's take a quick look at the grants file. So you see various at a glance statuses. All of these have been approved. This one is still with the grants officer, waiting for the grants officer to do their actions. Here is a satisfied specific condition that is with the recipient. So again, what happens, just so you know, if Bernadette, if you move forward with the closeout process before they take any action on here, I believe what's going to happen is that the system is just going to terminate that. I don't think it stops you from moving forward, but we're going to try it in the training environment.
Okay.
Let's see, anything down here? If you look at the progress reports and the financial reports, you can't see on the grants file the workflow that well. You would actually have to look at a report. I'm just going to take one randomly. Look at workflow history, and then you can see who did what. So for the progress and the financial reports, you can't see that from the grants file. Some of the others you can. Let's do this, Bernadette. I'm going to look up this award in the training system. And I'm going to go in as you. This is your award. You're the project officer on it?
Yes.
Okay. You may have reset your own password. I don't know. Because I had you in here doing something else, right? Oh, sure. Thank you. Give that. Let's switch over. Okay. You might not have our. No, you just be grafting in here, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, but I think that we reset. You had something else for other than our. Okay, I'm going to cheat. Yeah, I'm going to reset your password for the purposes of the demo in our training environment. Okay, let's see. This is how we do it. You're not supposed to know the secret, but you're going to find out. Let me take this, copy this, go over here. And it's going to be Grafton.
While she's doing this, if folks have any other questions that they would like to ask while we have the Grants Online Pro on the line for another half hour, you should take the opportunity to do so. Just wanted to put that plug in.
Okay, demo 02/12/2020 $. Okay, help me remember that.
Oh,
today's date, yeah.
What's the last part?
$, $2 signs.
Okay.
02/12/2020 $. Okay, so let's try this. And it's one other thing I need to run. I need to run this little thing right here. This allows me to. This is what I want. That's all right. It's easy to do it like this. Okay. All right. So this allows me to get in without having to again reset the password. Okay. So it was demo.
Mm-hmm.
Demo 02/12/2020 $. Oh, you know what I didn't do?
Right.
Oh, Bernadette, give me that award number again.
Oh, I have it.
You got it? Okay. Okay, wait a minute. We're getting ready to get in. There we go.
You do so.
Yep, that's good. Let's see the status of that award over here in our training system. Search awards.
So ED
16, HDQ 303.
303-0042.
42. Okay, let's see what status we have here. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, it's expired. We can close it out.
Oh. It worked
So,
out.
yeah, we're going to use yours. We're going to play with it, Bernadette, in our training,
Awesome.
in the training. All right, so let's go over here to that award. See what it looks like. Again, we have, we've got these award action requests. We don't have a ASAP drawdown request in progress. That's okay. We do have to satisfy specific conditions in progress. So let's see how that affects our ability to move forward with our. Here's one that's not submitted. So we should not have the ability to do the clean closeouts. And if I look at my glance file, the only way I can initiate either the financial or the manual closeout is I have to go through the override process. And the reason is I have a report that's not submitted here. I have another one right here that's not submitted. So I can get in as a grantee and submit those reports. And then let's see if that changes the status. So let me see who the grantee is here. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to view manage award related personnel and submit. And I'll be Chris Zimmerman. He or she is a authorized representative. Okay, so we're going to log in as this person here. Okay, log off. See Zimmerman. Hopefully that's correct. Yeah. Should work for him. Yep, works. All right. So let's look up those awards again. That award is ED 16 HDQ 303-0042. All right, cool. Let's see what access the recipient has to this award. I am actually logged in as the recipient to this award and see what access that they have on an expired award. So they can see the whole grants file, okay? They can see it. They can see these items that they haven't turned in. Let's do this. I want to see what option they have on this organization profile change request. It's not in their inbox, right? It was in that other person's inbox. Just let's take a look at it real quick. Yeah, yep. Let's look at the workflow history. Remember, it was in the other person. It was in this person's inbox. Okay, so I think what I'll do, let's just see how this may affect your closeout process. I'm not going to do anything to it. I want to see how it affects your closeout process. So let's go back over here, and we wanted to submit those reports, right? So we're going to submit their financial reports. How much does the, let's look at the accounting details. The same accounting details. Okay. So according to the snapshot of this particular award, they have drawn down $377,594.20, and the total award obligation is $424,433. So we're going to set up a scenario that they're not going to draw down any money. That's all they're going to draw down. So we need to turn in the final report with this number, $377,594.20. $377.59, 594. I'm sorry, $377,594 and 20 cents. Okay. So let's do that. That's how we're going to send in our final. Oh, is there any matching on here? $5,000 matching. Okay. So let's do our final financial report. Okay, it's already marked final by the system, so they don't have to do that. I don't know what their basis of accounting is. I'm just going to click one of those buttons. I'm going to try to do this, see if it pulls any data in. Okay, yeah, because we're not linked to the data warehouse right now. So what was that? 377 594.20. Oh, whoops, 594.20, right? Okay. We're going to say they spent that amount, right? Same number. Whatever they drew down, we're going to say they spent it, so they don't have any cash on hand. 594.20. So cash on hand should be 0. Okay, so all the money that they drew down, they paid out their invoices, they did what they needed to do. Okay. Total federal funds authorized was that 4,000 number. Did you write that number down too?
I did. 412 something.
Yeah, let me see if I can. That'll do it. There it is. It's that number right there. So that one it did pick up. All right. Total federal share of expenditures is that number. No. Yes, that's the federal share. Copy. I'm going to paste that here. And Bernadette, help me if I'm doing it wrong. I'm not really good on the financial reports, but we'll say total share of unliquid obligations should be
just a 0. Just
0?
a 0 for that.
But I
It
thought we
depends
need
on
to
how
put
they're doing
the.
it, so just put 0.
Oh, okay.
Because
Really?
if they're doing cash versus accrual, things are different. So.
But don't we want to show that there is a balance that they have to? We want to show an unobligated balance between this.
Oh, we're showing
this
a
number
balance.
right
Sorry,
here.
I thought we were showing the full. Never mind.
Yeah, we want to show that there is actually a balance. So I'm going to say this is. Where is the D minus G? D minus G. So I want to put. I think I want to put this amount right. No, I want this amount down here, right?
Yeah, put that amount in there.
That goes here. Okay, let's try this. Save. See if it does what we want. I know it's going to be something. Okay, so.
That doesn't work.
That's not right.
So Lillian, their expenditures should be 377.
Oh, that's the 377. Okay.
That's how much they actually spent.
And then this is this. Okay, yeah, that's what we want right there, right?
Yep, and that's the difference.
And this is the 0 right here, right?
Or 0, yeah.
Okay,
there you go.
Cool. All right, and what was this? This is 5,000. And you want to say that they actually,
Yep.
5,000. Okay, so we're
No,
going to say they
no program income.
Right, okay, 0.
You don't have to put anything in there, I don't think.
And it'll automatically fill it in?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
And let's
Is
just
any of this
assume no
required?
indirect costs.
No indirect costs, so I don't have to do that. Okay. Let me click a save. Let's see what we have now. Programming contains a value, must also contain a value. So maybe I should take the 0 out. Take this out. See if it. For positive unobligated balance, got to put some remarks. Okay. So you see that? If there's an unobligated balance, the system is looking for something in the remarks telling for the grantee telling you guys that they do not intend to use the remaining funds. Okay, so I'm just going to put remarks here. We do not intend to use the remaining funds. Okay, so there's our remark. Let's hit save again. Good. We have a clean financial form. Let's go ahead and turn it in. Start workflow. Okay. Submit this to the agency. All right. We need to do our progress report, right? Financial. Let's go back to the grants file. Let's look at that. And let's look, just so you can see how the status immediately changed from delinquent to submitted. Once they submitted it, the status will change. So here's the one that we have to complete for the progress report. Progress report. We're just going to upload a test attachment. Choose a file, test attachment. Okay, save attachment. So here's an attachment right there. Save and start workflow. Okay. Not much that they have to do. It's pretty simple for a recipient to submit their progress reports. Okay. Forward to the agency, submit. All right, let's look at our grants file again. All right, we have submitted our final financial report and our final progress report. I'm going to log off now, log back in as Bernadette so that we can accept those reports. DEMO 0212-2020 right? All right, let's look at your task inbox. Here's our financial report right here. So let's take a look at that. Okay, we're going to just cheat and accept it without looking at it. I know Bernadette would never do that.
Never.
Never, ever, ever. Wait a minute. Hold on. Do my select. There we go. All right. So let's now, Bernadette, for those that want to know where this thing went, you want us to show how they can find out. Right up here in the breadcrumb, as soon as you complete an action, that action is still sitting. I mean, the document is still sitting in the breadcrumb. You could always go back to your breadcrumb, click on it, scroll down to workflow history, and see where it is. So for the financial report, the grant specialist has now accepted that financial report. Okay? The grant specialist is the end of the line on accepting the financial reports. Now, what happened to our progress reports? Let's see where that is. Okay, grants file. It's a financial report. It looks good. It's accepted. Let's look at our progress report. Let's look at the workflow history here. Or I can reassign it. Let me see if I can reassign it to Bernadette. Let's see if that function will work on this. Task management, program officer, board number, Smith. Ryan currently has it. All right, here is your progress report here. I'm going to reassign it to Bernadette. That just makes it easier. I don't have to log off and log back in to accept this award. All right, so let's go back to Bernadette's inbox. And here is the progress report here. View. Set the progress report, submit. Okay. Let's look at the progress report in the workflow. As you see, it came into Ryan. We reassigned it to Bernadette, and Bernadette accepted it. All right, let's go back to our grants file. See what it's looking like now. All right, we still have this outstanding award action request and this outstanding organization profile change request. But let's look down here. We're good on all of our financial reports. We're good on all of our progress reports. Let's see what options are available in the grants file dropdown. It still has the override options. So I'm going to say those override options are still there because of those outstanding tasks that are on the right here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go in and see if we can withdraw these. Who did we say this was with? This person, what's her name? A-P-O-N-G-E-R. Let's try to log in as that person. Okay, as you see, this person has no actions. I'm assuming, like you said, Bernadette, that this person's account now is just completely deactivated. There's nothing they can do because we saw that Chris did have actions. So I am going to go in as the help desk. Let's see if we can reassign that task to Chris. Okay. This is training, right? I'm going in as myself, being the help desk. I'm going to go to task management. What's that? That was the authorized representative. So let me go down to recipient authorized representative. Hunger. Let's see if we can find that task. Here's the task right there that's in that person's inbox. We're going to reassign it to Chris Zimmerman. All right, so we're going to reassign that task to Chris. Yes. And what was the other one? So that was the org profile change request. Let's look at the award and see who has that other action. ED 16 HDQ 303-0042. Okay. All right, so now we have reassigned this one to Chris. He has that one. Let's look at this one right here and see the status of this. This one was with a different person, so I want to reassign this one too to Chris, so he has everything. Jeffrey Anderson. Let's go over here. Back to task management. We'll go with authorized rep, Anderson. ED 16 HDQ, I should know by now, 303-0042. Okay, here's that task right there. We're going to reassign that one to Chris also. And yes. All right, so now Chris has both of those outstanding actions, and we just want to see what he can or cannot do now that we are in the closeout period of this grant award. One thing I want to check here. Okay, so we have not done an extension to closeout yet. So that's been done recently. Notice here, final reports due date is 12/29, which means that there's going to be very limited work that Chris can do because the closeout period has passed. Not only has the award expired, but the closeout period has passed. So let's just see what the system allows Chris to do. Log off. See Zimmerman. Okay, he can get to his inbox, tasks. Here are those two actions right there. Let's view this one. He has the withdrawal. So Bernadette, this lets us know that the recipient can withdraw that organization profile change request. So let's do that.
Yep, I already had her do it, actually.
All right, wow.
Productive, what can I say?
Oh my goodness, so this is helpful to you, huh? Okay, they have to put some comments in. I'm just gonna put demo right now, submit. It should say, yeah, it automatically does, okay? So I just, only thing I withdrew with the award was the organization profile change request. Before I do anything on this next one, I want to go back in as you, Bernadette. Let's see what it looks like for you again. E. Grafton. Okay, all right. EEMO 0212 2020. All right, so go back to that award. Search awards. ED 16. HDQ 3030042. I sure do. That's not going to get me anywhere. Okay.
You could just wildcard it, right?
I could do like ED 160042. But since I do know what it is, this is easy. All right. Let's look at what your drop-down actions are. It still has the override options. It still will not say that you can cleanly close it out. Again, it's most likely because we have this one outstanding action. Now, because you have the override, you can still do the override and close it out. So which one would you want me to demo, Bernadette? You want me to go back and make this a clean grants file and then close it out the regular way? Or do you want to go through the override process?
Well, we only have 9 minutes left, so I guess just do the override because that's faster.
Oh, it doesn't matter. We could do them both in 9 minutes, but let's go ahead. Would you prefer to close this out?
Well, let's just make it clean. Just make it clean.
Let's make it clean. Okay, we're gonna make it clean. So remember we gave it to Chris, so that's easy. I'll give it to Chris. Go in as Chris. See Zimmerman. Oops. Okay. Let's go back in as Chris. Tasks. Here is that. We're going to withdraw it instead of doing anything. We're just going to withdraw it. So so what we're seeing now is that even after the demo. Okay, hold on. Demo. Even after the close out, the 90 days has expired, if the recipient has tasks in their inbox, they can still withdraw those tasks, even outside of the closeout period. All right, we now have a clean grants file. We should. Let's see if that helps Bernadette to have the right options. FY2020, 2020, $. Okay, such awards. ED 16, HDQ 30030042. All right, let's see what we have. Still has override. What else would be causing an override on here? Expired, accepted, accepted. Prior approval waive, that's approved. Those all look good. Those all look good. There is, so we can figure it out if we select the override option and submit. It should tell us what the problem is. All award files are not in accepted, rejected, declined, or withdrawn status. Let's look at that again. Award files. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. You see that, Bernadette? Award file in progress. So let's see what's going on with that one. Maybe we can withdraw it. Something going on in this one. Where is it in the workflow? What is this? This is an amendment right here. Let's print award file history. Oh, it's like we just started it, but there's no, okay, so there's not much on it. Let's go back here. Let's go to this amendment right here. It's like we started an amendment, but we didn't do anything to it. So this was going to be
Yeah, it might have just been an error, done an error. We can just have the help desk.
What did you do? What did you do on this one? On
I have no idea. I'm on the live one and I can't figure it out, so I'm just gonna have to email them.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, it was in 2017. Who knows what happened?
Right, exactly. I'm going to save and start workflow so that I can withdraw it. I got to start the workflow in order to withdraw it. Okay, reject amendment. Here we go. It's going to make me put in a comment. Okay. Demo. Reject. All right, now let's look at our grants file. Okay, now that has a clean. Let's see what it looks like now. Woohoo! Well, we got 3 minutes left. But did you see, though, one thing that we were able to see is that if you don't have this clean, these clean options, then try to start the override. It will tell you what the problem is that is causing you not to have a clean closeout process. So notice you can initiate both the financial and the manual closeout. So it is not the initiating that is prevented for the manual closeout. You can start it, it's just that you can't finish it until the financial closeout is done. So if I initiate my manual closeout, submit, And I'm just going to go ahead and, do yes on everything and start this workflow, just so you can see that I won't be able to finish it until the financial closeout is done. Wow, 2 more minutes. We're gonna do something here. All right. Yeah, yes. Okay. Save and start workflow. Okay. And forward to the grants officer. Submit. All right, so that's complete on that, but now let's go back to the grants file and let's initiate our, I do want you to see this. So this is, the extension of closeout is available not only to the grantee, but it's available also to you guys as an FPO to request it on their behalf. Just wanted to see that. Satisfy specific award conditions, that's available during the closeout period. And in this case, ASAP drawdown request is not submitted, not available to you, but the grantee would have an ASAP drawdown request also. So let's do this. Financial closeout, submit. So here's your financial closeout. It does have the de-obligation amount, but this is being picked up not from CBS. This is being picked up from that final financial report. This is what you will not have right here. No ACCS line, 0 on amount to de-obligate. Okay? So EDA's financial closeout de-obligation documents will always say this. Let's go down here. Let's look at your justification. You got these different templates. These templates were put in for NOAA. If EDA would like a template to be added, that should be fairly easy. And so if there's some template language you would like for us to add for you, Bernadette, you can just send it to us and we should be able to add another drop-down option for EDA. Right now, I'm just going to put demo. Okay. Demo. Notice, because the system knows that there was, from the final financial report, it noticed that there was a balance. The system has already checked it. If for some reason there is a balance that the system didn't pick up, you're going to have to manually check it. But if you have a clean final financial report that has a balance, the system will check this already. Okay? Save and start workflow. And forward to finance reviewer. Remember, you need the checkbox to do that. So it's 5:01, Bernadette. I think we've shown quite a bit. Thank you for having a nice expired grant out there in our training system that we were able to use to do the demo. So that was awesome. I'm glad you had one in that because I just went, I was trying. I just could not get our other one to that point. Any questions on the line we need to respond to? Bernadette, any other points you want to make before we finish?
Nope. I just thank everyone for calling in for this webinar. I think we've covered quite a bit. And if you have any questions that you think about, feel free to shoot me and or Lillian an email and we'll work through it.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And we hope it was helpful. Feel free, again, like Bernadette said, shoot us an email to us, to the help desk, and we'll definitely get some answers to you as best we can.